Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Well, yesterday, if you've been following along, uh, my friend's truck, little multi-cabs they call it here in the Philippines, little Suzuki, little three-cylinder engine, a little truck been sitting roughly 4 years, and we put a new radiator in it, changed oil, new clutch, uh, new timing belt, new water pump, uh, flushed the system, uh, the block, and make sure there were no restrictions and so forth. And it's typical to run them without a thermostat. Well, a little truck, it runs fine for setting that period of time. Of course, we had to clean the fuel system too. The gas tank was removed and all the fuel lines blown, and replaced the fuel filter and all the necessary things. We got all this taken care of and fill the system with coolant, antifreeze, whatever you want to call it. And I decided that I was going to take it on a test drive. Little truck drives and performs like it's supposed to. They don't have a great deal of power, 32 horsepower for that time period that truck was manufactured. Carbureted engine. But they do good. They really do a great job. And it drove fine, and I decided I was going to take it on at least a 40-kilometer round trip just to make sure everything's okay, up to par. And I tested it on an uphill grade, a constant uphill grade. And it takes us about 30 minutes from here to Canalong, which is a pretty constant uphill grade. And it done great till we got to Canalong. We got there, we decided we'd kill some time because it's still too early to have dinner for our lunch. So we decided we'd go on to visit what we call the big tree, a heritage tree. It's a tree over 1,000 years old. And on the way, the little truck started to overheat. So I pulled to the shoulder of the road, sat there and let it idle. And actually, I waited just a tad too long. It done blowed some of the coolant out. It didn't actually do a what you call superheat, but it built pressure up in the system and it done what it's supposed to do. It blowed some coolant out. Well, it idled down and got back down below uh, normal operating temperature. I decided to turn around and add some coolant to it. So we drove about a half a kilometer, something like that. And there's a little side shop on the road that sold oil, and coolant, and motorcycle parts, things of that nature. And we bought 2 liters of coolant. And to access these radiators, you got to take a panel off, and it takes a 10 millimeter wrench or socket. And just so happened they had a little repair place there where they work on motorcycles. So we borrowed the 10 millimeter, then removed, found out it only had one bolt on it, so I had to replace the other one. Then we put coolant in it, and didn't replace the panel. I just went ahead and just put it in the back of the truck because I thought, well, maybe we'll have to stop again. And we carried 2 bottles of 2 liters of water with us just in case on the way back home. Well, going downhill in these little trucks, since they don't have a thermostat, they normally drop down to cold. And I'm trying to figure out what's making this thing overheat. There wasn't no steam coming out the exhaust, so that ruled out a head gasket. The oil was clean, so there's no water going into the oil. But on the way back, going downhill, it maintained uh, over halfway on the temperature gauge, which is abnormal for these little trucks. And sometimes it got a little above. And it was puzzling me. And as y'all know, my early years, I've been known to turn a few wrenches. I try to rack my brain what would cause something of this nature. Well, I was thinking about the old Fords that I experienced many times. They had an automatic fan clutch that would go bad, and they would do something very similar to what I was experiencing. But this little thing has an electric fan on it. So I ruled out, it can't be a fan clutch. Well, I got on the dirt road on the way home, and it dawned on me they had that radiator out. Of course, they had to remove the electric fan. And these fans, they can run backwards. So I got home and parked the truck and left it running. Stepped around to the front of it, and sure enough, air was blowing out the front of the vehicle instead of sucking it in and blowing it over the engine. Now you're wondering, how can that be? Well, there's 2 wires on the fan. It just so happened these connections, the wires are the same color. So you got a 50-50 chance of getting it right. Unless you check what you're doing. I guess it was late at night when the guy got finished doing his work. And I guess he failed to check that the fan was running in the right direction. And that's easy to do. I'm not blaming him for his work. It's very easy to do. Everybody makes mistakes. I made my fair share of them. So I can't get irritated over it. But it was something that made me think. Exercised my mind, made me think. So there is a good thing about it. And, you do need to exercise your brain. So I'll have that corrected and taken it on another drive. And I'm pretty sure, I feel very confident it will fix my problem. But there's some other little issues that are going to be addressed. The horn quit working. So I suspect the horn going to have to be replaced, because I had to do that a couple of times on my multicab when I owned it. And I want to replace some tail light bulbs, turn signals on the rear. They're not working, but they are flashing on the front. So see, the bulbs they got disconnected somehow. Then there is the fuel gauge. I suspect that I'm trying to think of what they call that in the fuel tank, the float. Uh, I suspected that it got corroded up and has lost contact and will have to be replaced. So, well, you get all these little things taken care of, and we have a good little truck again. Uh, it did run fine. There's no issues whatsoever, and I didn't superheat it, so I feel good about that. Uh, I'm surprised that I didn't let it get over 3/4 way on the temperature gauge. I'm surprised that it popped the relief on the radiator cap. Got that, and not been what you say hot. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thank you all for taking a few moments of your time and watch. And maybe it'll help someone if they have an overheat problem that they might need to check their fan. So there you go. And do me one favor, hit that subscribe button. And thanks again.